Hello, everybody, and welcome again. Just to recap where we left off on our life beginnings and always. Uh, we started off. We met Cove's father. He gave us $20 to be friends with his son, Cove. Um, then we met his son, trying to become friends with him, trying to comfort him because he's going through a hard time. His mother uh, both the father and the mother apparently divorced now, and he's going through a tough time. So we're trying to be there for him and be friends with him and stuff, and develop a relationship going forward. So we did the first part, beginning parts storyline in this, and we're ready to go to the next memory, if you will. So here we go. Cove's dad came back before it gets dark. All right, sport. Okay, okay. I got that wrong. Come back before it gets dark. All right, sport. That's what Cove's dad was saying. A familiar voice drifted across the street and drew your attention away from the snail you'd been watching inch slowly across the pavement. Cove waited in front of his dad, pushing his green hair back off his face from where the breeze was blowing it over his glasses. He looked to be paying only a mild amount of attention as he was being handed a few slips of green paper. It reminded you of when you first met Mr. Holden, although he's probably not paying Cove to be friends with himself. Funny. Okay. Cove's dad seemed to feel your gaze somehow, or maybe you made a noise because a second later his eyes were on you. He waved you over with a smile. Get some break here. He looked happy to see you, but you still felt a little weird for getting caught. You've got to learn how to be more sneaky. You brushed your hands together to free them of sand, then jogged over to join the two, smiling at Cove first and then his dad. Hi, Chippy. Chippy, hi.
How's it going?
Good to see you again. What excitement are you up to today, Chippy? Taking a walk. I found a pretty cool snail across the road. There's lots of snails around here. Mr. Holden grinned at you kindly. After you finished answering the question, Mr. Holmes' attention returned to Cove, who was preoccupied with holding the bills he had into a tiny rectangle. Rectangle. Sounds fun. You know, Cove was about to hit the stores by the beach. Why don't you go with him? You gave a ready nod, turning to swept in the direction of the stores, like you could see the goods they had to offer all the way from where you stood. Oh, is that okay?
Yeah.
I don't mind. Great. I'm sure you guys will have loads of fun. Mr. Holden reached into his pocket and pulled out a leather wallet filled with money. You found it odd since your mom's only ever seemed to have cards in theirs. Here. He leaned in to pass a crisp tin to Cove, giving him a wink and a whisper. Get something for your friend too. Sure.
Good kid.
That's my boy. Cove's dad ruffled his son's hair as he was straightening back up the bill in his hand, still held up towards the green-haired boy. Take care. Cove accepted the bill after a second and slipped it into his pocket. Then, with one last nod to his dad, he turned and started walking. He followed him, intrigued at the possibility this outing might bring. Cove strayed towards the gentle tide creeping up the sand, and you fell into place beside him. It was a nice day. The sun was shining, and there weren't many clouds in the sky, though the wind coming off the ocean kept it from being too hot. You took a deep breath, enjoying the scent of salt and ocean air. When you looked at Cove, he was dragging his feet through the sand a little, and you slowed down to wait for him. His eyes His eyes searched the ground intently. Are you looking for snails? Are you looking for shells? What is it? You don't feel the need to ask why. Are you looking for snails? Cove looked over at you, wrinkling his nose. Who would want something like that? You felt the urge to defend the activity you'd been indulging only a short while ago. A lot of people. No way. They're weird, and you can't take them there because they're bugs. You have to leave them alone. Cove chuckled to himself, and that ended the discussion. He can think what he wants, and you'll think your own things. The comforting sound of the waves filled the silence with pleasant white noise, and you played a little game with yourself as you walked along, getting as close to the water as possible without getting wet. It resulted in you having to run up to the sand quickly when a wave rushed in more than a few times. And although Cove threw a few glances your way, he didn't say a word. You didn't either. What did you want to go to the shops for? What do you usually do on the beach? What do you want to go to the shops for? I need a new sand pail. Yeah. What happened to your old one? Cove narrowed his eyes, seeming to think deeply for a second.
Wow.
It disappeared. What? Really? Cove ducked his head down, lacing his fingers behind his back. It didn't seem like he was going to continue, so you nudged his arm. How did that happen? Well, Cove opened his mouth, then shut it again, considering. I took it to the beach one day. When I got home, it wasn't anywhere. You left it there? Nope. It wasn't at the beach when I went back. Then you lost it? It disappeared.
So...
What about you? What do you do out here? I don't come to the beach a lot. I like swimming. I like looking at fish. I like to build sandcastles. Nothing. I like swimming. Cove's lips curled up in a small smile. Me too. It occurred to you that you hadn't been swimming in a while. There was just so much to do before school started up again, and so little time. Once you reached the shopping area, the noise level grew exponentially. No longer just waves and footsteps, but the chatter of people enjoying the lovely summer day, the call of birds trying to find bits of food left behind, and lots of salespeople trying to get attention. You sniffed the air as you walked beside Cove. You could still smell the ocean, but there were other things now too. Pizza, pretzels, hot donuts. It's nice. It's not very nice. It's alright. It's nice. The urgency surrounding the area seemed to fill you, and there was a bounce in your step as you began looking at all the familiar sights. There were so many things to do. You didn't know where to begin. You looked at Cove, hoping he was just as excited as you were. Cove was glancing from one side of the street to the other with a look in his aquamarine eyes that you couldn't quite work out. What's that? Cove pointed to a large crowd of people gathered near a few tables with large, colorful umbrellas blooming from their middles. You couldn't see past the adults who were walking the way, but you knew there must be something worth seeing. Without another word, the two of you hurried over to see what all the commotion was about. Amazing Alexander. Feast your eyes on the Amazing Alexander. In the center of the crowd was a man with a tall hat and a funny green coat that had 3 long tails. There was a little table next to him with a cloth hanging over it that read The Amazing Alexander in glittering golden script. Why tell people his name if it's already on a sign? Cove hummed with understanding, then turned to walk away just as the Amazing Alexander began shuffling a deck of cards. Maybe we could stay and watch. Cove glanced back at the man. He then briefly lifted his arms up off his sides before returning them to place. You grinned, waving for him to follow you as you raced back to stand in the crowd. With that, it began. The magic man pulled one card out of the deck, showing it to the curious onlookers. It was a four diamonds. Watch closely. You did, squeezing through a few of the adult onlookers to get a better view. Suddenly, the man snapped his fingers, and the card just disappeared. Whoa. The Amazing Alexander, who had earned his title, turned his head and looked directly at you. He reached out with a kind smile. What's this behind your ear? Nothing. Tell me. You backed away. Nothing. It was true. You didn't keep anything there. He smelled like popcorn and candy when he stepped closer, and you wrinkled your nose in confusion as you watched. He felt a tug, and then he pulled 4 of diamonds out from behind your ear. What? You knew it could really have come from your ear. but you still didn't get how he'd done it. There was light applause from the crowd, and the man gave a deep bow. This is for you. The magician plucked a pair of balloons from a clump of them and tied down to his table. Both were in the shape of a dolphin instead of being a normal circle. And one for your friend too. Thank you for being my assistant. Wow. No, you were really grateful he chose you. After that, he went to someone else in the crowd. Pick a card, any card. My uncle does that every time he visits. Not the balloons, the stuff with the cards. Cove spoke plainly while reaching over to take the dolphin that had been designated for him. Maybe it wasn't so special, Cove was just returning fun. At least you had a fun time. You wondered if Cove's whole family was magic. I'm gonna go with that. See, this is like, at 8 years old, you wonder the strangest things that day. And so he was lucky. The crowd started to clear some, and you noticed to the side there was a whole rack of brightly colored kaleidoscopes on display. You picked up a kaleidoscope, you picked up a Rubik's Cube, you picked up a Magic 8 Ball, and you walked past the toys. I picked up a Marie Ball. Oh, these are cool. You shifted your balloon string to the other hand so you could hold it up in front of you. Then you thought of a question in your mind, shaking the ball and hearing some kind of liquid swoosh around inside of it. Once you had given it a good shake, you held it upright, waiting for the answer to appear. Concentrate and asking you. You wrinkled your nose and set the Magic 8 Ball back on the rack. It wasn't the answer you were hoping for. You followed Cove around to the other side of the stall. He went under the awning, careful of his own floating dolphin, and you joined him. Did you have places like this in your old town? Are you having fun? I don't really like it here. You said nothing. You have places like this in your own town. Cove blinked at you for a moment, and you wondered if you shouldn't have asked. You knew how much you missed that place. Not really, Cove says. You nodded in understanding, looking over at the stalls nearby. While Cove looked at the sand pails, you were drawn to a table with colorful keychains laid out on it. They were sewn in the shape of sea creatures, and there was a plaque that read, "Handmade, standing proudly in front." There was lots of different types. You saw a dolphin, a shark, a crab, and a turtle. You picked up the dolphin. You picked up the shark. You picked up the crab. You picked up the turtle. And picked up the dolphin. Your hand stopped on the dolphin, so familiar to your blue animal. It was made of bright material that caught the sunlight when you picked it up. You remembered once seeing a pod of dolphins swimming out in the distance at the beach, jumping out of the water and splashing as they dived back in again. That was a great day. You were instantly enamored. Checking out the price though, your heart fell. $6. You didn't know much about money, but you thought that was a lot to spend on one thing. You rarely had more than $5 bill in your name, to your name. Though that changed the day you met Cove and his dad, you still had the $20 bill Mr. Holman gave you hidden away in your room. Yeah, I think at some point I'm gonna have to confess to Cove about that. What happened? I mean, even if I didn't take the money, I think that's something you would have to eventually confess. You know, because it's, you know, it's just something that you shouldn't have to hold back or, you know, have to keep secret. I mean, Cove should know about that. You should know what could happen, you know, eventually. But we're not going to do that right away. We're going to hold out for a while and find a time to do that. Anyway, it was a great sum of money, but you couldn't spend something that was at home instead of in your pocket. Maybe you'd have to ask your moms to bring you here again one day, now that you know what you wanted. Is that what you want? Huh? Oh. It's $6. I didn't bring any money.
Alright.
It's fine. Really? Are you sure? Ray, you don't have to. I don't want you to get it from me. Really good. Cove took the keychain from your hands, and that was that. He was holding a small yellow bucket for himself too. I was always going to get you something. I already got the money for it. You He smiled, pleased to have things work out. It was nice of Cove's dad to let Cove buy something for you too. You had to remember to thank him next time you saw him. After Cove paid, the two of you stepped out of the store side by side, your blue dolphins knocking together and spiraling around the air. You watched Cove hold up his new pail to his face, examining it thoroughly. Hey Cove. Yeah? Your dad gives out money a lot, huh? I really like this keychain. Number one. Does your dad give out a lot? Your dad gives out money a lot. From what you've seen, that's happened a lot, Mr. Holmes. You've never met anyone else who shares dollar bills with people all the time. Cove's brow furrowed in confusion.
Maybe.
I don't know. For a second you thought about mentioning the way you and his father had met, but decided against it. Yeah, I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to wait. That was meant to be a secret, and you felt like your feelings might have been. You felt like your feelings might have been hurt if your parents were offering to pay people to be your friend. Cove looked further down the street, where different food carts were lined up. He rested his non-cast arm over his stomach. And just as he did, yours left out a light growl. You hadn't eaten since breakfast, and after all this wandering around, you were definitely ready for some lunch. Let's get some food, Cove says. Yeah. You two wandered around a short while, looking at all the delicacies that were available. Everything looked delicious, and as the different smells, both sweet and salty, waffled over to you, your stomach growled even louder. After passing up hot dogs, snow cones, ice cream, and pizza, you both agreed on pretzels. Cove got something sweet and cinnamon, and you got a plain one, got one with cheese, got one with sprinkles, got one with chocolate, got one cheese. You licked your lips hungrily as the vendor handed you your pretzel over. Ready to take a big bite. It was covered in gooey melted cheese just the way you liked it. It seemed odd to get a dessert pretzel for eating normal food. You found an empty table close enough to the beach that the drift of the sand made terrible noises when you drag chairs out to sit down. These balloons are going to make it hard to eat, says Cove. Cove placed his bucket on the table as he started at his skilled balled hand that was wrapped around the string. You opened your mouth to agree before an idea hit you. I know. After carefully placing your pencil somewhere it wouldn't get sandy, you tucked the balloon dolphin out of Cove's hand and tied it in a delicate bow around his wrist.
Oh!
Says Cove. Cove bounced his arm up and down in place, testing the stability of your knot. After watching his balloon jostle around but remain attached, he smiled satisfied. Can you do it for me? He repeated the ritual. Cove struggled somewhat with the cast, restricting his fingers on one hand and a string already tangled around the other.
Okay.
Got it. The two of you spent a moment admiring your handiwork. Both hands now free to allow easy munching on your pretzels. You bit into the doughy treat, savoring the taste on your tongue with a smile as you looked out over the ocean. After a time you finished your pretzel, you were done before Cove. It was boring not having anything to do. You pulled on the string of your balloon to bring it down to your level. Then you held the dolphin in your hands, manipulating it to make it look like it was jumping through the air. If you turned to face towards the beach, it almost looked like it was swinging in the waves like a real dolphin. A laugh came from your side. When you glanced back at Cove, he had left the remaining part of his pencil on the wrapper, and he was gripping his dolphin too. Mine's name is Merryweather. He's the prince of the dolphins. Mine's name is Splash. They star in movies. Mine's name is Cherry. She's actually an alien. Mine's name is Sam. They're just regular dolphins. Merryweather. He wears a crown made of seaweed, and all of his friends are merfolk. Every now and then, he'll make friends with a kid and let them ride on his back. side, wishing you could meet a real dolphin like Merryweather. What's yours? Cove considered the question, placing the balloon against the table and resting his free arm across it in contemplation. I think that's what it is. It's with a loud pop, the dolphin exploded into ribbons. Oh no. Oh no. For a second, all Cove did was gape in shock, like you. Then his cheeks puffed up, squinting his eyes, and you saw tears start to glisten. Chippy hit. You made a joke. You offered to find Alexander. You offered to give Cole your balloon. You didn't say anything. He would be alright. I offered to give him my balloon. You looked at Cove, then up to your balloon, hopping gently in the air above you. You can have mine. That was better than letting you cry more. Cove sniffled, glancing up at the balloon, then back at you. No, it's yours. I don't want to take it from you. It's okay, really. Cove shook his head. Even though it wasn't your fault, you felt bad. Still, the offer seemed to lift Cove's spirits, and that was good. The passing of Cove's balloon was the last major event of your adventure. In the end, the two of you headed back late that afternoon. You separated on the beach, and while Cove went straight home with his brand new sand pail in hand, you decided to sit for a while. You watched the waves and the sunset fiddling with your new keychain. Another summer day was drawing to a close. It had been a good one, except for the sad final note. Oh, that was short. Wow. And that was a day of shopping. Okay. I think we have time to do grown up, so let's go ahead and do that. I know it's a lot of reading to do, so but let's go ahead and do it anyway, since that was a short one. One sweltering summer day, you were in your living room with Cove, listening to the sounds of the birds chattering outside the window while you lay across the rug on the floor. Cove's dad had dropped him off earlier, and your moms had left the two of you along with Lizzie to play amongst yourselves. It had been too hot to go outside in the afternoon, at least according to Mommy. So your sister was starting to get impatient, waiting for her golf class that evening. The three of you had trouble finding something fun to do. The beach and the playground were off limits, and you felt that it was too warm for anything like playing with their fuzzy toy animals. Then suddenly a light came to Lizzie's big brown eyes, and her smile spread wide across her face. Having an idea gave her a new wave of energy. Since we're stuck inside, we should be adults. They don't play outdoors anyways. They're always inside telling everybody they're too busy to play, says Lizzie.
Why?
Says Cove.
Duh!
I said why, and it will be fun, duh. Man, this sister of his is rude. I mean, wouldn't you think so? I mean, she just seems rude. What do they do inside that we don't, besides use the phone a lot, says Cove. Excluding a small huff, Lizzie decides to ignore Cove.
What do you think?
Chippy, what do you think? Do you want to? Says Lizzie. Cove said it. That doesn't sound fun. I bet we could come up with something else. I don't know. I want to. Let's try to come up with something else. But that's what I'm going to do. And it's not as fun when I play pretend adults by myself, says Lizzie. Do you do that a lot, says Cove? What's it to you? See, I give her this rude attitude. Come on. What is your problem, girl? Looking at Lizzie, it seemed Cove felt he could understand where she was coming from, and he sighed. Do you really not want to play, Chippy? Says Cove. It was clear he wanted some way out, but still felt guilty about it. I'll try it, but it sounds boring. Okay, I'll stay. Sorry, I have other stuff to do. He kept hesitating. I'll try it. It's not gonna be, I guarantee, says Lizzie. Lizzie seemed more determined than ever, and you could only sigh. Satisfied neither of you were about to bail on her, Lizzie thought over her options while you watched. After a few seconds, she clapped her hands together and being apparently having settled on something without asking either of you.
Okay.
I'm going to be a professional golfer. Chippy, and you and Cove can be a beach volleyball player, a gymnast, or tennis player. Why can't we pick another? Why can't we pick anything else? Because I have a fun idea, that's why. Really? Good girl. Come on. And we have to play sports as adults. And we have to play sports as adults? Says Cove. Yep, says Lizzie. But there's other kinds of sports too.
Right?
It isn't the same. What do you think? Chippy, don't those choices sound super cool? You wanna be that? Huh? I kinda like those, but it really doesn't. It sounds like a blast. Isn't there anything else we can be? You nodded, maybe not. Isn't there anything else we could be? Lizzie stomped a foot on the ground. Nope. Come on. Just decide already. Knowing Lizzie hadn't let this go anytime soon, you sighed. Cove was not impressed with Lizzie's attitude. You're not the only one. I'm not impressed with her attitude either. Come on. She's being a little bee. Come on. Though he didn't bother talking more about it for now. You thought over the list of possibilities. Beach volleyball, gymnast, or tennis. Out of all of them you prefer to play, beach volleyball, gymnast, tennis. Beach volleyball. We'll go with that. If you couldn't spend the afternoon at the beach for real, then you might as well pretend you were there. You could even wear your swimsuit to make it seem more realistic. Although Lizzie probably wouldn't let you run off and do that now that she had you here. Yes, that was clearly the top option. Okay, I'm gonna be a volleyball player,
Alright!
says Lizzie. How about you, Cove? I'll have a volleyball team too. Lizzie threw her hands in the air, making an annoyed sound. You guys can't be the same thing. That's not how it works. Why not? You didn't say that. The rule was picking from the list. You can't keep adding more. Lizzie looked at the two of you, then shook her head, resigned to losing this battle, but not the war. Fine, you're both volleyball players, but you're on the same team because there's only one. Lizzie's ponytail bobbed when she proudly stretched her arms wide. The Olympic team, says Lizzie. What? Says Cove. We're Olympic athletes who just competed in the Olympics. says Lizzie. Cove didn't seem all that impressed with the announcement. He made a face and adjusted the glasses on his nose. That's really specific.
Rude.
Oh, that's what makes it fun anyway. Rude? If anybody's rude, girl, it is you, okay? Lizzie marched back and forth in front of us, getting lost in her own imagination. I won all gold medals, and people are calling me the next Mickey Wright. Who's that? Says Cole. Lizzie stopped on the spot and turned on him, her brown eyes shining with impatience. It doesn't matter if you know who she is. It's a golf thing. You guys won medals too. Your team placed at silver. It's more real if you're not all first place. Silver sucks. I don't want silver. Okay with that. Hey, we can do better than silver. Silver's not bad. Nice. You stay something. Silver sucks. Don't want silver. You folded your arms across your chest, staring Lizzie down. Me neither, says Cove. You nodded at Cove, happy that he had your back.
Sorry.
Lots of people lose at the Olympics. Them's the breaks. Then you're the one who did, not me. Lizzie looked taken back by Cove's declaration, as though the thought of her losing was completely absurd. No way. It wouldn't make sense. I'm already practicing my golf game. She took a golfing stance to make her point, pretending to swing her club and hit an invisible ball. So, what kind of house do you want to live in? Says Lizzie. Cove hadn't changed his mind about winning, but thinking about where he lived as an adult appealed to him. Apparently because he looked back at Lizzie with some of the anger fading. I'm going to live on the beach. Lizzie made a face at him, poking out her tongue. That's kind of boring. We already have that. No, not like the normal houses here with the street on it, right on the sand by the water, says Cove. Just like that, all the tension was back. You hadn't even had a chance to choose where you would want to live. That's not very fun or smart, Cove. You can't live on a bunch of sand and shells. But I want to, and I will. Cove narrowed his eyes at Lizzie, even though she stood half half head taller than Kim. You didn't give out a list of things to pick from this time, so I'm picking that. Why are we even playing pretend if we can't imagine anything?
Jeez!
Well, I'm gonna live in a mansion far away from here and far away from you. Yes, please, go. Just go. Go then. One with an indoor pool and a place to practice my award-winning golfing.
It's not fair.
How come you were yelling about mine when your idea is even more impossible? Lizzie's face flushed red, her hands falling into fists at her sides. It's not impossible. It's better than yours. Disagreements always seem to crop up when the two of them were together, and you always felt like you were stuck in the middle. But when it came to the topic at hand, this time you thought you prefer a mansion. Okay, bring on the beach was cooler. Being on the beach was cooler. You wanted to agree with Lizzie. Cove was right. You're tired of deciding between either of them. Cove was right. Cove's idea is good. You shouldn't say yours is the only right one. No one asked for your opinion. Really? Oh God, really? This girl, I swear. He smiled slightly over at the agreement, then turned to Lizzie with blustered confidence. You can swim whenever you want if you live on the beach. We can still swim anytime we want from where we live now. Being a little closer doesn't mean anything. It says you. The two of them scowled at each other. You're being so unreasonable. You. I don't get what you want. This game doesn't make sense. It does. You have to be realistic. I said that. But you're not. You had no idea what to do to make them stop at this point. It seemed like the two of them would just keep working each other up as long as they could. Nothing you said so far had kept them from being mad. Thankfully, like a green card angel, Mom walked into the room. Lizzie rushed over to her, hanging onto the hem of her shirt and poking out her tongue at Cove. Lizzie, Chippy, it's time to get ready to go.
You alright with that?
Sorry you have to leave already, Cove. There, Mommy said. She'll walk you home so you won't be left in the cold. Cove was still glaring at Lizzie as face flushed red with anger. I can go by myself. But,
Bye.
my Chippy, there was still a harsh edge to the brief farewell. But you knew it wasn't you he was mad at. No, he's mad at his sister. I mean, she's being a little bee, come on. Without giving Mom a chance to stop him, Cove stood up and stalked out of the room, shoulders drawn tight.
Huh?
Okay. Worried, Mom turned to look down at you and Lizzie. You two were playing right. You two were playing nice with our new friend, weren't you? You told the truth, you lied. I'm telling her the truth. We were playing pretend and things got intense. They were like cats and dogs. Your sister's jaw dropped, looking betrayed as Mom put both hands on her hips. Elizabeth, I told you to be kind to him. He's having a hard time right now. Yeah, he's going through a hard time. Parents are divorced. Lizzie's mouth closed back up, replaced by a tiny frown. I know, I tried, but he was...
That's enough.
No buts. We both know you can show someone a great time when you put your mind to it. We're going to apologize to Cove and his dad over the phone when he gets home from work tonight. Lizzie hung her head, dragging a foot across the ground in front of her. Okay, Mom. Good girl. You caught pieces of Lizzie's sulking to herself about how it was his fault too, but it was over. Ah, right. We better get a move on.
Let's go.
Let's go, kids. Milani, where did you leave the car keys? Mom hustled you all out the door, and you noticed during the car ride. You noticed during the car ride to golf practice that Lizzie was quieter than usual. She was usually the first one to request which song to listen to in the car, but she didn't say a thing. Your parents noticed she wasn't in a mood to be bothered. They gave her space, and Mommy just asked you what you'd like to listen to. You picked your favorite song. It always made the car ride more fun. You chose the soundtrack to a cool movie you saw a couple months ago. You chose a song you knew Lizzie liked. Maybe that would cheer her up. I'm gonna go with the first one. Eventually, Lizzie came around and started singing along with you. You both knew the words, and your moms even sang along too. When the car ride was over, you spent the twilight hour watching Lizzie hit things with the other girls her age. You didn't know how much You didn't know much about golf, but you could tell that she really liked it. So you sat with your moms and tried to puzzle it out. It was nice sitting outside after being cooped up in the house all day, and you stretched out your legs to let the last few minutes of sun warm your skin. Then the sun was finally out of sight, dropping behind the horizon. You all got ready to leave. Instead of going straight home, your moms took the family out to dinner. You went to a restaurant you had all been going to ever since you could remember. The whole afternoon had been a bunch of shouting. You hadn't been able to stop, but you could kind of tell that all this helped Lizzie be less angry. The car ride home was quiet, with only the radio providing escape from silence. Lizzie had been in better spirits now, but the closer you got to your neighborhood, the more she wiggled in her seat and frowned out the window. She knew what was coming when you all got back home. Clearly she was dreading it. Well, it's her fault. Soon enough, Mom was turning in onto the street, then reversing into the driveway. Once she cut the ignition, it was dead silent. No one spoke, only unbuckled their seatbelts and opened their doors. Lizzie was the last one out. Once everyone was inside and done taking off their shoes, she propped her hands on her hips.
So,
Now then, Mr. Holmes' car is in the driveway, so he should be back from work. That's good news, isn't it, Elizabeth? You and Cove can hash things out before the day's done. Lizzie didn't complain or put up a fight. Her head ducked so she didn't have to meet anyone's eyes. She nodded once. Good. Let's move this to the kitchen. Mom went over to the house phone, the rest of you following behind her. Mommy put a gentle hand on Lizzie's shoulder as they walked side by side. You watched them from the back. This was only happening because you told on Lizzie. You didn't regret it. You felt a little guilty, like you had betrayed your sister. You hadn't liked doing it, but had to. But it was her fault for doing it in the first place. I'm gonna go with the last one because it was her fault. She started the shit. Excuse my language, but yeah. You hadn't done anything wrong by telling the truth. It wasn't like Lizzie was going to say it on her own. The four of you stood around the kitchen in a lopsided square. All eyes were on Lizzie, who kept her gaze on her feet. You remember the number for Cole's house, don't you, honey? Lizzie jerked her head in another nod, sullen. Without further prompting, she stepped forward and she began to dial. Mom reached over and pressed the button on the base. Suddenly, you could hear the phone ringing. She turned on the speaker. The phone rang a couple times, then stopped. Mr. Holmes' warm voice came through the other end. Evening, Holden's residence. Lizzie looked over at Mommy, unsure. She nodded encouragement. Hi, Mr. Holden. It's Lizzie. Can I talk to Cove?
Absolutely.
Lizzie Prince. What a surprise. But, of course, you can say hi. I mean, you just say hey, to the point. He sounded cheery as usual, though definitely meant it when he said it was a surprise. You thought hard, and you were sure that your sister had never called Cove's house before. Mom spoke up before Mr. Holden and Lizzie could say anything more. Her arms crossed over her chest, her lips pursed. Hi, Cliff. Naomi, Chippy, and I are here too. Good evening. We're sorry to bother you so late. You spoke to say hello to, said nothing to close down. I said hello. Hi, Mr. Holden. The gang's all here. Huh? Is something the matter? His voice grew a bit concerned. Mommy was quick to reassure him. No, well, yes, but it's going to be okay. Lizzie and Cove got into a bit of a fight today. We were hoping that the two of them could talk and make up. Is this a good time for you and Cove?
What?
A fight? Cove didn't tell me anything about that when I came home. It does explain the funk he's been in tonight. He chuckled lightly. Despite that, it didn't seem like he really thought it was funny. Anyway, it's good you didn't catch us at a bad time. I'll grab him for you. There was some shuffling on the other end. He must not have gone far because you could still hear him calling out. Cove, there's someone on the phone for you. After a beat of silence, there was more muffled talking from Cove's dad. Come on, bud. Lizzie called just so she could talk to you.
Are you sure?
Chippy's on the other end listening too. Don't you want to say hi? It took a bit of back and forth, though conversation seemed one-sided, since you couldn't hear Cove properly. Eventually, Cove took the phone from his dad.
Hi.
Hello. Oh, hey, it's Lizzie. Yeah, I know, Dad told me. Cove's tone was defensive. Lizzie turned to Mom, scowling. One stern look from her, though, and Lizzie turned away.
Sorry.
I just called to say I'm sorry for not playing nice with you today. I won't do it again. Lizzie's eyes were downcast, her voice low. You could tell she felt uncomfortable apologizing to Cove in front of everyone. She was still being genuine about feeling bad. Cove must have realized that too, because he sighed quietly. Me and Chippy should get the gold too. That's right. Lizzie had kept denying you two what you deserved. Lizzie was momentarily stunned, silent by demand. She probably forgot that had even happened already. All right, we all win to go. Okay, I guess. I'm sorry too. A sense of relief washed over everyone at his acceptance of the apology. Mom uncrossed her arms while Mommy's shoulders relaxed. Lizzie's eyebrows raised up. You wondered if she thought he'd refuse her apology. Dad, can I get off the phone now? You couldn't see him, but it was obvious that Cove felt awkward about the situation. He had come off uncomfortable the entire time, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can go back to your room if you want. Be sure to say goodbye first. Bye, Lizzie. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Chippy. You perked up at the mention of your name. You smiled even if he couldn't see it. Bye, Cove. With that said, Cove must have handed the phone to his dad and left since Mr. Holden spoke up.
That's a relief.
All's well that ends well, as they say. Thanks for arranging this. I'm sure he appreciates it. As Mom's replied, Lizzie tugged on Mommy's hand to catch her attention. Can I go now too?
Good job.
Sure, sweetie. Thank you very much for apologizing. Mom flashed a brief smile at Lizzie and nodded her agreement. Given permission to leave, Lizzie scurried off towards the stairs. She seemed to be feeling much better with an incident behind her. Mom and Mommy returned to the phone, taking it off the speaker. They continued to talking to Mr. Holden. You couldn't tell what about. You were glad that was the end of it all. Lizzie and Cove might not get along, and probably still won't, but they weren't mad at each other. Mom and Mommy weren't upset either. Everything was finally back to normal. With that thought, you retreated to your own room with the spring in your step. And that's the end, everybody. I'm gonna stop there because that's a lot of reading already. Our next one will be Long Day when I come to that. I'm gonna go ahead and do that and save it. Save it right there. There we go. And thanks again for everybody for watching my YouTube channel. Don't forget to click the like button, and don't forget to click the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. And also, I would like to encourage you to please go check out my Patreon and donate to my Patreon. Again, all the funds that are raised there in my Patreon will be going to charity, directly to charity. Worthy charities, of course. So I can't do all of it on my own. So I really encourage you, if you can, please go to my Patreon and donate today. Thank you, and see you again later.